I am the CEO, and the intern admires my fiancé. When I slapped the intern's face, I realized that the plot was awakening. He was the chosen hero, and I was just the villain giving the heroine money and power. Thinking about this, I quickly kicked him a couple more times. My fiancé protected the intern and pushed me to the ground. Enough! Luke Dawson, you're too evil! I lay on the ground, smirking. Bring it on! I now have the script in hand, but do you think you can climb over me without considering your own worth? In the morning, I handed my fiancé the breakfast I made, with my own hands. The woman in front of me was cold and didn't even lift her head, but I was still satisfied. Jessica Miller had finally stopped rejecting me. Behind me, a group of employees were gossiping quietly. The CEO is so nice to Jessica. With such a rich fiancé, I'd wake up laughing in my dreams. Amidst the noisy gossip, a sudden sniff was heard. Jessica and I turned to look. It was Jason Smith, the intern who had just joined Jessica's team. He stood next to Jessica, his head lowered. Wherever Jessica was, he was sure to be nearby. I could see Jason's ambition and express my dissatisfaction several times, but Jessica still protected him. I could only keep tolerating him. Jason looked up at Jessica, his eyes red, with tears welling up in his eyes. Jessica furrowed her brows. Jason, throw away the trash! With a push of his hand, my expensive lunchbox fell into the nearby trash can. People around us gasped. Jason seemed delighted, but quickly turned shy and hid behind Jessica. Manager, this might not be right. After all, the CEO made this himself. Throw it away! It's unnecessary! My eyes began to redden, but she looked at me impatiently. Luke, stop being so self-righteous. You're imitating others. It's laughable. She gazed at the cheap dumplings on the table with a gentle look, completely ignoring the lunchbox in the trash. I wanted to approach her, but she reached out and pushed me away forcefully. How much longer are you going to do this? Luke, if it weren't for my dad forcing me into this engagement, I wouldn't want anything to do with you. What's your big family business to me? I'm not a shallow woman. Don't ever think I'll give you a single ounce of love. Her words made everyone in the room gasp. I stood in front of the crowd, trembling all over. I am the CEO of Dawson Group, the heir of a wealthy family, but Jessica is just an illegitimate child, yet she shamelessly hurts me because of my affection. Did I deserve this? I heard whispers behind me. The manager is too much, humiliating the CEO in public. What's Jason's status? How can he feel wronged? What a couple of scumbags. I pushed through the crowd, walking forward awkwardly, but was suddenly shoved away. Watch out, CEO! I heard my assistant's panicked voice and a scream. When I looked up, I saw Jason charge at me fiercely, holding a cup of hot soybean milk with no lid. The white liquid splashed out, still steaming. Ah! The assistant pushed me away, taking most of the spill, but my leg still got burned. Quick! Take my assistant to the hospital! Jason, don't you watch where you're going! Jason's eyes widened in panic. He let go, and half a bag of greasy buns spilled all over my Louis Vuitton bag. Sorry. I thought you didn't have breakfast, so I brought you the leftover buns and soybean milk I had this morning. He looked innocent. Do I look like I know you well enough to eat your leftovers? Get lost! Manager Jessica doesn't eat breakfast and got a stomach illness. She has to take medicine every day now. I'm just concerned about you. Do you really need to be so harsh? He stubbornly bit his lip and explained, looking utterly wronged. His words attracted many colleagues' attention. Is Jason crazy? How can he bump into the CEO in such an empty hallway? With such scalding soybean milk? Was he trying to hurt someone? So stupid. His brain didn't even develop properly before starting work. He lowered his head, helplessly sobbing. I watched coldly, suddenly hearing a voice in my mind. Hit him! Hit him hard! I stood up and slapped him fiercely, and at that moment, all the plot points rushed into my mind. I realized that I was just a villain in a novel, and my fiancée Jessica, a fallen illegitimate child of the Miller family, and intern Jason, they were the true protagonists of this world. Not just me, but even my family would become stepping stones for their love. Jessica hated me but wanted to use my identity. Jason, like her, came from poverty. Both naturally hated the rich, and they quickly fell in love. Innocently, I did nothing wrong but was still hated and resented by Jessica. She resented everyone who lived a glamorous life. Using her position as my fiancé, Jessica sold Dawson's business secrets to our competitors. She successfully rose from being an illegitimate child of the Miller family to a new rich person in the capital. But together with Jason, they struck down my entire family. Everyone in my family tragically died, and in the end, I was the only one left. Jason specifically told Jessica, the most painful thing is thinking there's still hope. We need to torment him well. Why should we let a pampered young master off the hook so easily? He kept lying to me, saying my parents weren't dead, just in the hospital, but on my birthday, he took me to their graves. Having lost everything, he pushed me off a mountain to die in a desolate place. Who could have imagined that when Jason didn't make it through the interview and cried in the lobby, I, passing by, softened my heart and gave him the opportunity to be an intern? In the end, this pair of bastards took everything from me and pushed me into the abyss. I sure know how to pick 'em. The two biggest pieces of trash from all over the world ended up being the ones I picked. Waking up again, I saw Jason's pitiful face in front of me. CEO, I'm sorry. I meant well. I remembered everything he did, narrowed my eyes, rolled up my sleeves, and slapped him hard again. Ah! Jason screamed in pain, but I laughed arrogantly. I, the prestigious Dawson family heir, will not be destroyed by you. He cried out, "The CEO hit me! The CEO hit me!" But no one paid attention to him. I've always been good-tempered, but today, I was ruthless. I won't let him off the hook. I rolled up my sleeves and slapped him several more times. He had been dodging, but suddenly froze, fear in his eyes. As expected, I heard a roar from behind me. "Luke, are you crazy?" Jessica squeezed through the crowd and rushed in, grabbing Jason and pointing at my head, scolding me. "How much longer are you going to bully an intern? Get out of here. I don't want to see you." "What are you? How dare you point at me?" My tone suddenly became harsh, and she couldn't save face. Jason trembled in her arms, complaining of pain. Rage flared in her eyes, and she shoved me hard to the ground. "What the hell are you doing?" "Stop embarrassing yourself here." In the past, when she scolded me so domineeringly, I would have just lowered my head and left. But now, my head was clear. I waved my hand. "Guards!" In an instant, 10 towering, nearly 2-meter muscular bodyguards surrounded us. Jessica faltered, panic flashing across her face as she stumbled back a couple steps. "Luke, what's your problem? Just because I didn't eat your breakfast? Do you really have to bully the new guy and call security too?" I let out a cold laugh. "So what? Is he underage or something?" Jessica's face twisted with anger, not expecting me to humiliate her so openly. She turned to drag Jason away. "I don't have time to waste on you. I have work to do. Jason, let's go. Stop right there." I stared at her with a mocking smile. "Work? What work? Living off handouts? Illegitimate daughter?" Jessica clenched her teeth, her whole body trembling. Illegitimate daughter was her reverse scale. The one thing she couldn't bear to hear. Anyone who dared say those 3 words to her would get an outburst in return. And now I'd said it in public. "So you're mad just because I didn't eat your breakfast? Fine. Next time I'll eat yours and Jason's both." "Luke, don't push it!" My back still ached from when she shoved me down earlier. Watching her impatient face, I casually adjusted my watch, then walked up and kicked her square in the stomach. She groaned and collapsed, clutching her belly in pain. Everyone gasped. Jason's eyes filled with tears of heartache, but he didn't dare stand in front of Jessica. The guards immediately dragged her upright again. No wonder they were my guards. They knew exactly what to do. I walked up, swung my left hand, and left a crisp slap and a deep red mark across Jessica's cheek. "That slap is because you live off others while putting on airs. Remember this. If you're gonna beg like a dog, you better learn how to act like one." Jessica had never endured such humiliation. She clutched Jason tightly and asked him, "What did you do to upset Luke?" Jason sobbed pitifully. "Manager, I was just worried the CEO would get a stomach illness from skipping breakfast, so I brought him some soybean milk." I didn't mean to spill it. Jessica shielded him protectively, frowning. Luke, bullying the weak really is your style. He showed you kindness and you treat it like dirt. Do you really need to make such a scene over this? It is a small thing, I said. Just that 50-cent soybean milk ruined my suit and bag and burned someone. Your family's loaded. Why care about a couple bags? Don't pretend. If you want my attention, you don't need to bully Jason. I may be rich, but I'm not stupid. Since you like showing off so much, then you can pay for him. I held out my hand. Jessica sneered, unconcerned. Fine, I'll pay whatever at Island. Why make things hard on Jason? You're disgusting using this to get my attention. She turned to leave with Jason, but my guards blocked her. Jessica, our CEO has fired you. Your salary was $1,000, but with 10 tardies, it's all gone. The CEO's total loss is $6 million. How will you pay? Jessica froze. She didn't have $6 million. She'd only been in my company for half a year, eating my food, using my money, swiping my supplementary card. She didn't even know how many zeros were on her paycheck until today, when she learned it was just $1,000. Pay up, Miss Jessica. No money? Then be the hero, saving the beauty. I sneered at her. Her face stiffened. I don't have the money now. I'll get it to you. The people around us couldn't help but laugh. How's manager Jessica so poor? Just $1,000 a month? That's less than my pocket money. Yet she plays movie hero. More like a coward. Jason's face turned deathly pale. $6 million was an astronomical figure to him. He tugged at Jessica's sleeve and whispered, Manager, I'm fine. Please don't get angry with the CEO. Jessica took the out, changing her expression. All right then. Jason, I forgive you, so I won't make a fuss. Just don't be so childish next time. Let's go. She turned to leave. Stop! Their backs stiffened. I grabbed a bottle of mineral water, took a mouthful, and spat it all over Jessica's face. Staring at her intently, I asked, Awake now? Still dreaming? Jessica was stunned. That manager title was nothing more than a position I'd gifted her. In truth, she hadn't even graduated high school. She spent all day scrolling her phone from behind that desk. If I threw her out, she'd be nothing but a useless nobody again. Back at the Miller house, she'd only faced the mockery of the legitimate wife and daughter. Thinking of that, her eyes reddened, fists clenched. Enough! You're just trying to break me. Fine. I'll apologize. Can I leave now, Luke? Don't push me too far. The moment she turned, 2 guards pinned her to the ground. Security, make sure Jessica and the dog don't set foot inside again. I looked down at her lying there like a mutt. Passing colleagues burst into laughter. She frowned, as if at her breaking point. Luke, what else do you want? I've already given in. It was the first time in ages she'd said anything soft to me. But behind that fake gentleness was a poisonous heart. Tisk, Jessica. Even a garbage bag doesn't put on as much as you. I mocked her. Jason suddenly shouted, President Luke, you've gone too far! I'm leaving with manager Jessica! His eyes burned red, his expression righteous. I laughed. Jason, you think this is a farmer's market? Want to walk out? Fine, just settle the bill first. What bill? Jason doesn't owe you anything! Jessica's eyes flared as she shielded him, but Jason's face went pale. $6 million. Jessica can't pay, so you will. The more I spoke, the paler Jason became, until he could hardly stand. Realizing how bad this was, he tried to make a scene and bolt. You're slandering me. Just a bit of soybean milk and buns. How could that cause so much damage? A wipe and it's clean. You're extorting me. Manager Jessica, let's go. Calmly, I pressed the dial key. The loudspeaker carried my voice clearly. Hello. 110. I'd like to report a crime. Jason's face drained of all color. When the police arrived, he realized I wasn't bluffing. He stammered through excuses. But then I opened a video call. The screen showed my assistant in the hospital, leg wrapped thick with bandages. The housekeeper swiftly brought my suit and the Louis Vuitton receipt. After reviewing, the police sternly told him, if you don't compensate, you'll be prosecuted. The amount is significant. Terrified of being dragged into jail, Jason apologized over and over in front of the police, making endless promises. Only then did the police leave. Colleagues had witnessed the entire spectacle, and once the crowd dispersed, his tears fell like broken beads. CEO, you know, with my salary, I could never repay this in my lifetime. To you, it's just pocket change. Why must you bully us poor people? I was shocked by his moral kidnapping. What? Does money just come blowing in for rich people? Just because you're poor, does that mean you don't have any responsibility? Jason was speechless, but Jessica looked at him with a pitiful expression and, as usual, got angry. Luke, how far are you gonna take this? Is this how you try to get my attention? I couldn't hold back my nausea. Jessica's face darkened again. All right, I'll pay for it. Don't bully him. Jessica acted confidently, thinking that our engagement would still count, and that I was just throwing a tantrum. As long as she found a way to placate me, this debt would be written off. She never considered that I would actually demand payment, but I stretched out my hand. Pay up. Jessica's face stiffened. She didn't have that much money, but she thought, since we were engaged, the debt would eventually be forgotten. This way, she could play the hero saving the beauty without spending a dime. She scowled. Enough already. My patience has limits. But she didn't expect me to take out paper and pen. Sign the IOU. She froze, frowning. Is this necessary, Luke? What's the point of all this? Are you just trying to make me look at you one more time? I ignored her and had the security make her and Jason sign. Jessica is just a guarantor to help you pay. If she doesn't pay, the debt is still yours. Hearing this, Jason's face turned pale, nearly fainting. There are still many kind people, though. The security guard immediately kicked her, and she screamed, instantly becoming alert. The IOU is signed. Luke, calm down. Jessica, looking impatient, tried to return to the office, but I stopped her. Make them both leave and keep them far away. Kick them out. Jason and Jessica were thrown out like trash by the security guards. Even so, Jessica still tried to take my car and go for a spin with Jason. She grabbed the keys and opened the door to my Ferrari parked downstairs. Jason excitedly sat inside. Manager, this is my first time in a sports car. I'm a little nervous. Don't be afraid. I'll protect you. I stood in the cafe on the second floor, watching them get cozy. I tipped over my coffee cup. A large splash of hot coffee poured all over Jason. He screamed, "Ah! It's so hot!" Before Jessica could look up, I turned and walked away. Even as I walked farther, I could still hear Jessica's angry shout. Luke, are you crazy? Trying to get my attention? Well, you succeeded. Heh. Stealing a car and taking an intern for a ride? Jessica, do you think I'm blind? When they reached the busiest part of the city, people on the streets threw envious glances at them. When had Jason and Jessica ever had this kind of spotlight? Even when Jessica drove my car, she always had a chauffeur. She had never had the chance to show off behind the wheel. Look at those two lovers. They really make a great match. And they're driving a luxury car. The life of rich people is so enviable. The whispers from the side were clearly audible to them. Jason's face turned red with excitement. I watched them through the car's surveillance, grinning. Soon, the familiar sound of sirens blared. You two, please step out and cooperate with the investigation. The car owner reported you stole his car. Jessica couldn't believe I would do this and stammered out an excuse. Officer, I'm the car owner's girlfriend. This must be a misunderstanding. Girlfriend? Driving your boyfriend's sports car with a pretty boy? Now that's something to behold. The voices of passers-by were loud, and Jessica was deeply embarrassed. Jason was even more mortified. Just moments ago, he had looked at the pedestrians walking by with disdain. Now those same pedestrians had found their chance and gathered around, mocking him loudly. So you're a car thief? Acting so cocky? This is hilarious. Before they could even leave the city, they were arrested and taken to the detention center. Jessica spent all her money to get them released. The disgruntled Jason stormed into the hospital, where a severely ill mother was staying. On the 5th floor, in the VIP room, she was being treated with financial support from the Dawson family. Jason strutted in and ordered the nurse. Get the most expensive treatment for my mom this month. If you delay even a second, I'll have Luke fire you all. The nurse nodded obediently, afraid of losing her job. Jason's mother lay in bed, proudly praising him. "You're truly my son. Luke is an idiot. If he had married Jessica earlier, I wouldn't have to keep pretending to thank the Dawson family. They always walk around looking all high and mighty. It's so disgusting." Jason darkened his face. "What's Luke to me? I'll make them kneel and beg us." "Mom, just wait. My son is really capable." The medical staff on the 5th floor were all scared of him, as this room was reserved by the Dawson family, who were untouchable in the Capitol. Jason got fired and couldn't go back to the company. He thought I was just angry with Jessica and would never actually cut off support for his mother, so he continued to show off in the hospital room. He demanded the finest lunches, the softest blankets, and the most expensive treatments. Then I received a call from one of the other assistant wives on the 5th floor. "Luke, we're not trying to gossip, but we wanted to ask, who is the woman staying in your family's room? Recently, several wives' jewelry has gone missing from this floor, and no outsiders usually come here." I checked the surveillance and smiled as I answered the phone. "I'll be right there. Ladies, please stay calm. I'll handle it." I told my parents and sister about it, and they immediately insisted on coming with me. "How outrageous! What has Jason been doing with our family name?" "We never expected them to be so filthy." "Son, let's report this. The Dawson family won't take the blame for them." Of course. I made the call, but my sister was frantic. She refused to believe Jason and his mother could do such a thing and argued, "Aunt Jason's health is so poor. She should be grateful that we're helping with her treatment. How could she possibly steal anything?" "We'll see," I said, immediately cutting off all support for Jason's mother. I glanced at the surveillance again, and the hospital nurse soon arrived to evict them. Jason was still scolding the nursing staff, but the nurse cheerfully removed the IV needle from his mother and took the medication away. "Mr. Jason, you no longer have the right to stay here. Please, leave immediately. Clear out all their things, stop the remaining treatments. The Dawson family will no longer fund his mother's care. From now on, they're not allowed to set foot on the 5th floor." The nurse's eyes lit up. "Yes, sir." Jason's mother was stunned. She forgot she was even a patient and leapt up, grabbing the nurse's hand and shouting, "What do you mean? My medicine just arrived from abroad. Who are you to take it away? I'll have Luke fire you." "You stupid woman." Jason slapped the nurse across the face. "Bitch, who told you to take it away? What are you?" "Well, someone's got a temper." I pushed open the door with my parents behind me. Jason hadn't expected me to show up, and his face instantly drained of color. The nurse stood with her head lowered, clutching her cheek. Jason quickly switched faces. "President Luke, thank you. Without you, my mom wouldn't have gotten treatment. You're my family's savior." With tears in his eyes, he grabbed my hand, trying to guilt me into continuing the funding. But my mother spoke first. "Mrs. Smith, the Dawson family has plenty of money. What we don't do is fund ingrates. Your son openly seduced my future daughter-in-law at the company, and you expect us to keep paying your bills? Are you sick? Or are we?" My father was even more decisive, ordering the bodyguards to haul out all of her belongings in one go. Jason's mother panicked. Jason couldn't hold it in any longer and glared at me pitifully. "Luke, your family's so rich. What's this little money to you? Are poor people's lives worth nothing? You're just toying with us. It's just treatment. But you look down on me this much? Fine. I'll borrow the money from manager Jessica and pay you back. I, Jason, don't owe anyone." He pulled out his phone, trying to threaten me. In the past, I would have worried Jessica might be displeased with me. But this time, I nodded. Good. The treatments cost $2.5 million. The Dawson family never said it was charity. We were just fronting the bill. "Jason, if you can't pay it back, you'll be spending time in jail. Do your best." Jason collapsed on the floor, glaring at me with stubborn disbelief. I dialed the phone for him and handed it over." Jessica's voice came through. "What is it, Luke? Calling to apologize?" "Jason wants to borrow money from you." I held the phone to his ear. His face instantly turned ashen. Jessica took a sharp breath. "Jason, what happened?" Tears streamed down his face as he stammered. "Luke kicked my mom and me out. Her illness isn't treated, and now he wants us to repay the medical bills." Hearing his manipulative sob story, my mother furrowed her brows and let out a cold laugh. Even my sister Emily stiffened. In her eyes, her idol could never say such things. Jessica, ever protective, said, "Give him the phone. I'll talk to him." I switched to speaker. Jessica's haughty voice rang out. "Luke, enough already. What did Jason do wrong? You're being unreasonable and it's annoying. Just settle his mother somewhere and we'll talk at work on Monday." "Jessica, where you go to work has nothing to do with me. Are you going to pay his debt for him?" Jessica was silent, then finally said, "I don't have money. Don't play dumb." "Then why act like you're so high and mighty?" I hung up. Jason's face turned deathly pale. He gritted his teeth, looking humiliated, then dropped to his knees before my mother, sobbing. "Mrs. Dawson, my mother's condition is very serious. I really don't have the means. I beg you, please let her finish her treatment before we go. I know this money means nothing to your family." Emily, soft-hearted, spoke up on his behalf. "Mom, Jason's family really is pitiful. With my brother firing him, they can barely survive, let alone afford treatment." "Don't be so harsh." Slap! My father struck her across the face. He had never hit us before. It was the first time he'd hit his own child. Emily was stunned. Jason's face darkened. "Emily, did you even think about your brother's feelings? You're his sister, yet you're siding with outsiders. I'm disappointed in you. Tony, cancel all of Emily's credit cards. From now on, any money she spends comes off my account." My father actually froze Emily's cards. Now my sister had no money at all, and I was finally at ease. "Jason, did you really expect my sister to keep playing your lapdog and pay for you? Dream on." Watching his mother's belongings and medical files tossed into the hallway, Jason broke down too, squatting in the corner with tears streaming down his face. Even then, his mother refused to quit. She blocked my parents' path. "The Dawson family thinks they can toy with us poor folks just because you're rich and powerful? All you lose is a meal's worth of money. But my son is losing his mother." People passing by began to stare. My mother's brows furrowed, angry but too well-bred to deal with such shamelessness. But I remembered how, in my past life, Jason had stepped on my family to rise as a financial tycoon, while his mother had arrogantly humiliated my parents with a few $100. There was no way I would let him go so easily. Narrowing my eyes, I said coldly, "Mom, they really can't leave yet." The nurses on this floor said several ladies here have had valuables stolen recently. Jason's mother's face changed instantly. Jason panicked. "Mom, let's go. We'll figure something out." "Stop." The caretakers who had suffered under them surrounded them at once. Glaring fiercely, they sneered. "So you're the thieves?" "Acting all high and mighty, I thought you were some chairman's wife." Jason broke down first. "Luke, what right do you have to stop us? My mom and I aren't criminals." I ignored him and signaled the bodyguards. "Search their bags!" No matter how his mother shrieked and rolled on the ground, the guards grabbed her 2 oversized suitcases and dumped them out. Gasps rippled through the onlookers. Inside, Jason's mother's bags were expensive jade pendants, earrings, necklaces, gemstone rings, and diamond pieces. A nurse she had just cursed out shrieked, "That's Madame Wang's emerald pendant she lost ages ago." "Isn't this the diamond ring my lady's been searching for?" "So it was you who stole it." Soon, caretakers from all the other households came rushing out, each one looking for their missing jewelry. This floor housed only the wealthy and powerful, and every family had lost something, their staff all having been interrogated for it. Everyone had long been resentful about taking the blame, but since the families all knew each other, no one ever imagined the thief would be a patient. I sneered at Jason. "You're finished. The things your mother stole are worth tens of millions. That's years of prison time. Let me think." Watching his face grow paler, I kindly told him, "You'll probably still be inside by the time your mom dies." His body went limp with a thud. Soon, the patients who knew the truth banded together and called the police. Jason's mother was taken away, leaving Jason alone with 2 shabby bags in the corner. I left with my parents to handle other matters. Jessica, that disgusting woman, needed to be returned to where she belonged. On the way, I glanced at the hospital surveillance feed. Jason was squatting in the corner, and passers-by stared curiously at him. When asked, he cried and complained. "My mom was in chemotherapy when the Dawson family threw us out. They're so rich, this money is nothing to them. My mom didn't mean to take the jewelry. She just thought it was pretty. These people have so much, yet they're so cold-blooded. Some people were shocked by his twisted logic. Your mom stole, and you're the ones wronged? What a joke. Jason bit his lip in silence. Unexpectedly, his pitiful act really caught the eye of a fool. It was a wealthy heiress. Seeing Jason's handsome face, she felt pity and wanted to help. How much does your mom's treatment cost? I'll pay for it! Jason's eyes flashed. Just as he grabbed her sleeve, Jessica showed up. Jason, you called me crying. I didn't catch what you said. What happened? The heiress smacked his hand away, gave him a long look, then brushed off her sleeve in disgust. Isn't this the Miller family's illegitimate daughter? And you dare to seduce Dawson's fiancé? No wonder you ended up like this. You deserve it. Without looking back, she left. The hope Jason had just glimpsed vanished again. Now he could only rely on Jessica. After hearing him out, Jessica's face hardened. I'll call Luke. Make him find a way to get your mom out. This is all his fault. But when she dialed, the call wouldn't go through. She stared at her phone in disbelief. Luke actually blocked me. Watching through the surveillance, I sneered. Blocking her was nothing. The real surprise was yet to come. I sent her a text. Miller residence. Return at once. Important. On the screen, Jessica's expression shifted from gloom to delight. She told Jason smugly, Wait here. Luke must have gone to my house to apologize. Once I coax him, your mom will be out. Jason tugged at her sleeve, worried. What about the millions I owe the CEO? Don't worry. That kind of money is nothing to him. You'll never have to repay it. At the Miller house, Jessica's mother Kristen and Mrs. Miller sat on the sofa with their daughters. The Miller patriarch was dividing up the inheritance. When we walked in, Kristen's face split into a broad smile. It was Luke! Why was he here now? Jessica wasn't even home. We stayed silent, and the old man looked at us. Jessica will soon be the Dawson daughter-in-law. Our ties with the Dawson family will run deep. She'll get 60% of our family's shares. Mrs. Miller's face darkened. Father! She's just an illegitimate child. Is this fair? Jessica, however, shot me a proud look and sneered. Mrs. Miller, no matter how much you look down on my mother, it doesn't change the fact that Luke loves me, not your daughter. Mrs. Miller's face soured. Words caught in her throat. My mother gazed at Jessica's smug face and spoke slowly. Sorry to intrude, Mr. Miller. We're here today to withdraw from the engagement. Jessica's face instantly drained of color. Kristen lost her composure and shouted, Break off the engagement? Are you out of your minds? You're not even qualified to speak to me. My mother didn't even open her eyes. Mrs. Miller smiled, coming over to apologize. Mrs. Dawson, if you want to cancel, it must be because our family wronged you. Please forgive us. Jessica was an illegitimate daughter in this house, and her mother lived with great difficulty in the Miller home. If not for me, how could the two of them ever lord over Mrs. Miller? What's going on in law? Jessica hasn't done anything wrong, has she? You can't just decide this. Kristen's face fell. Her only foothold in this family was through her daughter clinging to the Dawson family tree. If we rejected Jessica, all her wealth and status would collapse. I cut straight to the point. Jessica was having an affair with an intern at the company. She also owes me $5 million. I find her repulsive. Don't slander her! My daughter's not that kind of person! Kristen snapped, thinking I was still blinded by Jessica. Ignoring my parents' presence, she lectured me. Luke, you have to understand. The world is full of temptations. You can't be so petty. After you marry Jessica, do you expect her never to speak to another man? These are normal interactions. As long as her heart is with you, why care about the rest? My gentle mother had already lost her patience twice today. She slapped Kristen across the face, her sharp ring cutting her skin. Who do you think you are, daring to lecture my son? Before Kristen could react, a voice cut in. Luke, haven't you made enough of a scene? Jessica stood up, and from the second floor, Jason came down. So she had brought him here. My parents and sister all turned sour. The moment the door opened, my sister had seen Jessica and Jason hurriedly let go of each other's hands. Finally, she understood. Jason really is a two-timing snake. Brother, I was wrong. I should have believed you. She apologized sincerely. Jason's ears burned at her words, his face twisted in false grievance. Now, he could only cling tighter to Jessica. My father had lost all patience. He threw out a final line. The Dawson family is withdrawing from this engagement. Mrs. Miller, I hope you'll spread the word. Mrs. Miller couldn't have been happier. As long as Jessica remained, her own daughter's inheritance would always face an obstacle. Naturally, Mr. Luke has been wronged. Our Miller family doesn't have just one daughter, but Jennifer. I interrupted her overly eager words. I'm not planning to get married for now. Thank you, Mrs. Miller, for your kindness. Mrs. Miller didn't press further and readily agreed to the matter. With a casual tone, she said, Butler, stop the living expenses for Jessica and her mother for 6 months as a punishment. I'll handle things with Jessica when she returns. Mr. Miller, seeing that his hopes of climbing up through me were dashed, walked off in anger without turning back. Kristen, get Jessica to find another place to live as soon as possible. They were kicking him out. Seeing her riches slipping away, Jessica collapsed onto the couch. She never imagined her long-planned scheme would fall apart before it even began. Her eyes filled with hatred as she glared at me. Luke, you really went too far. Is it fun playing the annulment game with all your elders? You're just forcing me into this. Fine, I'll marry you by the end of the year. Stop this now. I'm really tired. Kristen, seeing a glimmer of hope, screamed desperately. What annulment? This is just a childish joke. Jessica is already a part of the Dawson family. An annulment won't damage our reputation. Mother-in-law, let's pretend this never happened. Please, take your child home before people start laughing at us. Jessica was trying to force a marriage. My parents looked displeased. I could almost hear the huge joke. Looking at the still trembling Jason, I kindly pointed, This man here is your real son-in-law, Kristen. Don't mistake him. By the way, they still owe me $7 million. When will the Miller family pay? I took out the IOU, and Jennifer, the Miller family's eldest daughter, snatched it up first. After a quick glance, she sarcastically eyed Jessica before handing the IOU back to me. Sorry, Mr. Luke. This IOU has nothing to do with the Miller family. Jessica's living expenses have been cut off. You can legally pursue the debt. Jason's lips turned white as he quietly shrank back, and Jessica couldn't believe she was really being called off the engagement. She began to panic, pleading with me, even kneeling. Luke, I was wrong. Don't leave me. I ignored your feelings. I was just playing with Jason. My heart still belongs to you. I kicked her away and lifted her chin, seeing the deepest hatred in her eyes. Jessica, you must really hate us, right? After all, whether it's me or Jennifer, we'll always be the unreachable dream for someone like you, who grew up in the mud. She trembled, but I kept pushing her buttons. You must have already planned to team up with Jason to destroy the Dawson family, set up your own business, and put us all in the ground. Too bad. Before you could even begin, I kicked you out of the company. Jessica's eyes filled with fear. She looked at me, wondering how I knew her innermost thoughts. I like to embellish the truth. So I leaned in closer to her ear and whispered, All of this came from Jason. Blame him for being so stupid. Otherwise, you'd still be the future young mistress of the Dawson family. Too bad. All that wealth is now out of your reach. Upon hearing this, Jessica's eyes gradually filled with intense hatred. She could no longer control her emotions and started violently pulling at Jason's hair, punching and kicking him. Jason! You dog! You ruined my life! Jason wasn't doing much better. He was drowning in debt, and it was clear Jessica couldn't help him anymore. Realizing he had no way out, he retaliated with a slap to Jessica's face. I should have known better than to put any hope in you. Useless woman. You're pathetic. You have no money and you're still acting like you're above everyone else. The two immediately began fighting, each unwilling to let go. They unknowingly got pulled closer to the busy intersection, near the rush of traffic. Don't touch me! You bitch, you should pay back the money. Without you, I wouldn't have crashed into Luke. You worthless man. If it weren't for you, I'd still be the Dawson family's young mistress. You ruined everything. Go die! The scene of dogs biting dogs made me feel good. I couldn't help but clap my hands and cheer. Just then, the traffic light turned red. Horns blared non-stop as Jessica, in a panic, ran across the road, screaming as she collided with a massive truck. Jason's hand got caught in her hair. Unable to escape, both of them screamed in agony as they were crushed under the wheels. These two shining figures of the story, the so-called protagonists, finally met their end. They would never be able to steal anyone else's glorious life. When I heard the news, Jessica's mother broke down, but I hadn't forgotten about her. Aunt, debts should be paid by the mother. The $6 million is on you. Kristen was so frightened by my smile that it drove her insane. I heard the Miller family didn't dare make trouble and directly kicked her out. She wandered the streets at night, shouting, "I'm Mrs. Miller! I'm a rich woman!" Within 2 months, she was sent to a psychiatric hospital. As for Jason's mother, who died, it was my turn to deliver the sad news to her. I had to inform her of her son's death. Remembering Jason's arrogant demeanor in the novel, I appeared extraordinarily cold. I knew that if I weren't standing in the visiting room, I'd be lying at the bottom of a cliff. I wouldn't spare anyone with a malicious heart. Aunt, your son died trying to escape his debts, crushed by a truck. He died so horribly, no one even collected his body. Tisk, tisk. Jason's mother went completely mad. Too bad she's still in prison. No matter how much she breaks down, the guards will just beat her down with a stick, and she won't even have a chance to vent. The rich families whose treasure she stole will never allow her to get out alive. Maybe in the novel, Jason and Jessica could have used underhanded methods to seize everything. They were called the Children of Fate by the author and were supposed to get a perfect ending. But I woke up to all of this. I was always meant to be the protagonist of my own story. Villainy should not be my label. An eye for an eye is their rightful retribution. After all, I am a wealthy and powerful heir. How could I lose?